Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Brandis conversation, another moment for us to explore what is going on out there in our industry, in our society, in our world. And today we're going to have an even more exciting conversation. This one going a little bit more in the technology space, trying to unpack all those gimmicks and everything that's going on. So as we introduce Control, Alt, Convert, how is this MarTech universe creating magic in what we do? I have three guests with me today to try and help us unpack it, understand where it's going, and basically just have a conversation around it. So I will start actually with my left here. And on my left, I have Naftal. Naftal, perhaps you could just say a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Yeah, my name is, thanks Patricia for inviting me here. My name is Naftal Obwoni Nyabuto, Group CEO of Mzawadi Group. What we do is basically develop technologies in different industries, and that's why I'm here to also give contribution to demystify what MarTech is.
Thank you. And then moving to my right, Vimal.
Thanks, Patricia. Thanks for inviting me to this podcast. My name is Vimal Kaul. I'm the Chief Technology Officer for Ogilvy Africa, but I look for, technology aspect across WPP Scan Group. In my role, I make sure that that the things that we are doing from the tech side, from the data side, or from the AI side, we develop product, we develop services so that they can benefit our marketing services. So yeah.
Thank you. And of course, we have Magnus.
Thank you, Patricia. My name is Magnus Morage. I am head of marketing at IX Africa Data Centers, which is East Africa's first and largest carrier neutral and AI-ready data center in Eastern Central Africa. It's one of the biggest right now. And I had the marketing section, the marketing department, to be able to put out communication and content that is relevant to the industry space that I work in.
Fantastic. Good. Now, so quite a diverse group. All of them, I'm sure, can give us a very different perspective around this space. But first of all, we say MarTech, which is marketing technology, I guess. So the first thing, I guess, with anything is trying to get a definition. So your one-liner definition of what is MarTech, Naftal.
Yes, I think, yes, there are different ways of describing it, but the way I'll describe it is these are basically tools which are helping marketers to be able to streamline, collect, and create efficiency in what they do.
Simple, right? Sounds easy. Vimal, your view?
From me, I mean, it's integration of technology with marketing. So marketing, what does marketing bring on the table? It brings it brings creativity, it brings strategy, it brings distribution. Mm-hmm. What does technology bring? It brings life to that, to that creativity, to that strategy. So for me, that's the integration of technology with marketing.
With marketing. Okay.
Yeah, for me, MarTech is simply, again, the tools that we all use to be able to communicate and do effective marketing work. Mm-hmm. So it's just simply that, all the tools that we use. And I know it's a big buzzword, but it's what we use every single day.
Okay.
And from way back, even before we started calling it MarTech.
MarTech.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually now it's such a buzz. Everybody is, MarTech this and MarTech that. I am guilty as charged because I keep saying, as an agency, we want to be creativity meeting technology. And really, I say it. And I hope it's going to come to life. So I'm hoping all of you here are going to help me explain how we can make that come to life. So let me start actually by asking a simple question, and any of you can take this one. And that is, so we say it's been around for a long time, but where do we see the trends going in this particular space? Some people use some very, very big words, metaverse. We hear conversations around, okay, I'm not going to use AI. AI is a base. Others talk about gamification. But what are the trends? Who wants to go?
Yeah, as you said, I think he mentioned it has been there for as long, except that we were not having the name MarTech. Mm-hmm. But the trends that are coming in is, of course, as you mentioned, the baseline has been AI. It has overtaken much of what we thought MarTech was heading in. So, but what I'm saying, MarTech is getting in is it is now integrating in AI in each of the tools that marketing has been using. So AI is becoming a very universal platform. But I'm also saying the technologies, the original technologies like Web3, which were basically meant to decentralize how the web works, and also how the web, because it becomes a big universe. So MarTech is getting into making everything become smaller and bring them together. And that is the trend of MarTech. And making it easier to the consumer, because MarTech has been to the corporation. But now it is getting to where the consumer consumes the technology itself. And that
Okay.
is, I think, the trend that is coming in.
So one of the things we always used to talk about from a marketing perspective was, how do you start to map customer journeys? Right? So when I look at a customer journey, where they are, where do I catch them? Therefore, how am I able to convert them either through what I communicate or the touch points? How is MarTech going to help us in that space? Yeah.
Let me take this one. So earlier, the marketing that we used to do, like TV ads or radio ads or newspaper, the relationship was one to many. You do one message, it reaches to many. The world is now moving to one-to-one communication. So, so marketers need to reach to people to their needs. So for example, let's say I want to buy Android phone, right? And you want to buy Android phone and you want to buy an iPhone, right?
Yeah.
But my budget, my preference, things are different.
Yes.
His might be different, right? So that's why there needs to be a one-to-one communication to me saying that, okay, this is the perfect fit for you, right? And that's
But how does it know that that's a perfect fit for you? How
That's
are we
the-
getting better at understanding that's a perfect fit for you?
So basically, it's different touch points that a customer goes, does through when they, integrate with the company. For example, let me take an example of a website.
Yeah.
So when I go on a website, on a company's website, so I'm browsing a category, then I'm browsing a product, then I'm adding it to the cart. So there are so many different touch points, right?
Yes.
So they keep collecting that data. What time of the day I am going
Yeah.
through this category?
Yeah.
What time of the year I'm going through
Yes.
this? What am I looking for? You know,
Yeah.
all these data are collected and your persona is created.
Yes.
And based on that persona, you are shown those ads, right?
Ah, yes,
That's
yes.
how Google does it. That's how Meta does it.
Yes.
But they have much richer data because their touch points are Google. Now their touch points are AI.
they've
There
got
are
all
so
the
many
touch
touch points.
points, yeah.
Even Google Maps is one of their touch points.
Yeah.
Right. So that's how
Okay.
they are able to do that.
I don't know, Magnus, you look like you want to add on to this.
I mean, just to add on to that, I just reiterate, data is the base for how you can be able to build
Yes,
good
yes.
customer journeys. And right now, with technology that has moved in its speed, in the speed of light,
Yeah.
and all AI and everything happening,
Yeah.
it's so easy for them to collect data for big technology companies,
Yes.
even for us. Let's say that you want something about a certain specific customer, and you put it out,
Yeah.
and you can collect that specific data about that customer,
Yeah.
and be able to market to them directly. So it starts with the data, and we
but-
can collect much more richer data. now.
data.
Yeah.
But then now you talk about the data, but there's something called cookies,
Right.
right? And cookies are we all have to accept, reject, whatever. And part of what allowed us to collect that data was the cookies. And now we're being allowed to choose the cookies.
Yes.
So how are we going to circumvent that? Yeah.
I think the bigger question,
Yes.
I always say, it is so long as you are on the web,
Yeah.
at some point your persona will always be created.
Yes.
Knowingly or unknowingly.
Yes.
The bigger question of MarTech at this stage is not more of how we can collect the data online, because that has been in existence and it has made it even more easier. It is collecting the same personality, of creating the same persona offline.
Aha. What do you mean by that?
So if
Say that
today
again.
I don't
Yeah.
go to the web
Yes.
to browse,
Yes.
but company A wants to know my behavior, the only way they know my behavior is if I walked into their shop
Yes.
and I shopped.
Yes.
But that's a transactional data.
Yes.
But how can they be able to tell what Naftal loves doing
Yeah.
or what he does,
Yeah.
so that they can be able to also recommend to him whatever that they have. Because what currently happens is that the recommendation engine, which of course the algorithms of the search engines and the Meta and all the socials are using, are able to do predictive analysis and recommend.
Yes.
Because they have all the touch points.
Yes, they have the touch
Can you imagine now where we are right now? The brands are going to struggle to get the same, creating the same persona for these other guys who are not, all your products are not online.
Yes.
But they want to get this data because the data online does not belong to us.
Yes.
It belongs to Meta. It
Yes.
belongs to Google. They are commercialized it.
Yes.
But what about me who is having a brick and mortar?
So how are we going to do that?
That is where MarTech needs to, that is the trend
Yes.
of MarTech.
Yes.
How can we be able to have a similar setup
Yes.
in an offline perspective? That is the discussion. That's a big
That actually
discussion.
is the big discussion.
Right. Yes.
So when we do, what is this thing we do where we've started saying that, you could put a chip on, say, a billboard or whatever it is, and then you're able to read where you are, where you're going, and everything. Is that considered beacons? Is that considered offline or online?
It's offline.
It is offline.
It's what we are calling it proximity marketing.
Yes, proximity. Yeah.
But it's IoT, Internet
Yes.
of Things.
Yes.
It is, and the Internet of Things is, when we discuss about the future of technology, we used to talk about AI.
Yeah.
Then
Yeah.
we talk about Internet of Things.
Yes.
And we talk about Web3.
Yes.
And the super app.
Yes.
Those are the three main technologies which were trending.
Yes. Yes.
AI is with us now. It's no longer.
Yes.
It's
AI is all over. In
It's now
fact,
been democratized.
It's democratized, and
So Web3, we are still struggling to understand
Yes.
what it is.
Yes.
We will discuss it later.
Yeah.
IoT is with us,
Yeah.
except still people think it's far, but that is one of the things.
Yes.
The moment you have gadgets communicating to each other, it's creating life to a gadget.
Yes.
It's one of the ways that we can be able to have as part of the collecting of data, because then they don't need internet.
Yes.
It basically means it's offline.
Yes.
So I think that is one, you're correct. That
Yes.
is one of the things that
We can
MarTech,
talk about.
yes, we can
being
talk
on-
about.
So that's a big trend going
Yes.
forward.
Yes.
You said we talk about Web3 later, but let's talk about it now. What is Web3? What's the difference? I mean, when we talk about Web3, what do we mean?
When internet was created, it
Yes.
was centralized.
Yes.
Basically, one guy has some servers everywhere and everybody is connecting to it.
Yeah.
As trends went by, then the question came in that internet is being owned by corporations, because that is basically what it was and what it is.
Yeah.
Then the conversation came in, we need to decentralize the internet.
Yeah.
So that somebody somewhere can be able to communicate to another person using their own communication channels without dependent on centralization.
Yeah.
So that's why it came Web 1, Web 2, Web 3.
Yeah.
The biggest innovation which has happened as an example of Web 3 is crypto.
Yes. Yes.
It is one of the biggest innovation of
Yes,
crypto.
yes.
And it is one thing that shows we can decentralize the way, because now it's not controlled by any government.
Yes,
It's
yes.
not controlled by any bank.
Yes, yes.
But Trump today wakes up, creates a currency,
Yes.
and everybody is buying, nobody cares who
Yes.
is controlling it, no
Yeah.
regulation, nothing.
Yeah.
That is basically the concept.
Okay. I'm getting that. Anyway, any other thoughts around
I
it?
think that's a brilliant way that he's actually just broken it
Yes,
down.
yeah.
For anyone who probably doesn't understand Web3, I feel like if I add anything else, it'll just be. But it's the best way to actually explain it, and it's just created a way for everybody to be able to to be independent.
Yes.
Almost peer to peer. We don't need anybody else to communicate in between us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, marketing tech products. We've talked about the trends, we've talked about what's going on and everything else. Maybe you can share some of the ones that you are working, or some that you have seen which we feel are step change technologies going forward.
So in Scan Group, over the past 10, 12 years now, we have built a suite of these tech products. So they integrate with each other as well as they work independently. Let me start with the whole thing, how it works. The first product is called Insights Engine. So basically, it's a product where we feed in it with insights, offline insights. We do surveys and all those things, as well as real-time insights, like for example Twitter trends and these things, right? So based on the data that we give it to, it tells us trends, what's going on. It tells us insights, and the insights are AI driven. So we get AI insights, right? Those insights now go into a different product called
Yeah.
Feed. This product insight engine can of course work independently,
Yeah.
but we have integrated it with a second product called Feed. And in this Feed is a content creation and content distribution application. It's a this product, right? So this feed is sent to the real-time feed is sent to Feed. On the feed, when it comes to a system, and then with a brand, if we are working with someone, we see how this insight can be used for that brand. Of course, then there is a human intervention where they see, and then a creative idea is generated,
Yeah.
right? Then we do creation of that, for example, art assets and everything. Then we can do like one asset or two assets, and then we use AI to change to create multiple assets. For example, one for Facebook, multiple
One for
GDN
Facebook,
ads,
yeah.
XYZ, right?
Yeah.
And then we distribute it through these channels.
The different channels.
Different channels.
No.
Yeah.
So, and it's created a lot of efficiency, by
Yeah,
the way.
yeah.
And it allows you to be a lot more targeted. Because remember, we started the conversation by saying, how do you reach me one-on-one, where I'm at, what is going on, at that particular time, and what I want to do. Yeah.
Lincoln. So now this feed, if we are doing let's say a lead generation campaign, then we have another product called Optimus, where we create the links, the leads are generated, it goes to Optimus, where the lead management happens, and then you can do cross-sell or upsell using marketing automation, which is included in Optimus. If we are doing influencer management, then the thing goes to Influenso, right? And then everything happens there. Influencer management, content creation, content briefing, influencer identification, execution, everything happens there.
Yeah.
At the end, all this data, whatever we have, it goes to one product called Obrio, which is a ROI dashboard. Right? So for example, if you're running a marketing campaign, so we know this marketing campaign has generated this much clicks or impressions or something, all this data you can see in one
Yeah.
Obrio. So this is how this whole platform, this thing
and
works.
by the way, you start with one thing and keep building,
Exactly.
building. And I must admit, 3 years in, I still have to get refreshers on all the different things, because as we all know, technology,
Yes, it's
it
changing
keeps
every day.
changing, and what you do in terms of what you offer. Magnus, what are this type of things you think? What products do you think are trending?
Of course, we've said AI is the base, so it's one of the big things. Whether it's predictive, whether it's generative, I think generative is quite big. That'll continue trending. I think.
By the way,
won't
can you
stop.
give a definition
Okay.
between the two? I mean, here we're trying to unpack and demystify. So
me
for
give you
us, we
some-
may
Yeah.
get it, but there are people out there who are sitting there saying, generative AI is AI. What's the difference between? So break down AI from the one when it starts with spell check to the one that is generative.
Okay, let me speak from a marketing perspective, so that someone is listening and they can probably get it. So if you're looking at predictive AI, so you're looking at it from your CRM, your CRM engines, your
Yeah.
customer relationship management engines.
Management,
It's going to help you to put all this together and predict specific things like what you're talking about, your trends, what you're doing, if it's your salespeople, what you're doing, and creates all that data for you. It's very it puts data together and creates an end product for you. Your generative AI, just like it says generate, it's now more creating of the images and even music up to it's really wide.
Yeah.
So from a marketing branding perspective, I think the biggest thing would be images. You'd be creating video,
Yes.
Text,
you-
content.
text, content,
context and
music.
everything, music, yeah.
So that's from the generative AI side,
Yeah.
and those two are key. I think right now they are the main thing that is happening within anything that is to do with MarTech.
Yes,
It's
yes.
integrated within, like, I'm really impressed to hear what he's saying.
Yes.
He's talking about, that predictive,
Yes.
all that's happening, and
Yes.
it all goes into one big engine
Yes.
again, and it gives you all this on a dashboard again. And that's what now for marketers, it makes us more efficient because it collects all this data for you, so you don't start needing
Needing to dwell through
and go through
different
focus groups
and reports and
and research guys
and research groups and everything else.
So it really just brings all that, and it's interesting. Sometimes I feel like if I say it, someone will say it's going to take jobs. Yes, it will take jobs for sure. But someone who's not using AI, their job will be taken by someone who's using AI.
Exactly.
So you're better off knowing and understanding
AI, so
it.
continue to be
And
relevant.
you don't need to understand the back end of it, which is the technical side, the software side. You don't need to.
You not need to.
You just need to understand what he's talking about. How does all this data through all this dashboard, what does it mean? And interpret it and understand that you can make your work more efficient. You don't need to go through the whole entire manual briefing process, blah, 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 understanding, going back to customer, trying to get all that data. It's all put together and you can just pick it up and say, what do I need to understand to read it?
Exactly.
And then can I read it accurately so that then I can be able to go back to customer and tell the customer, this is how your brand is performing.
Yes.
Of course, now that's with the human intervention.
Comes in.
So yes, there must be human intervention. That's the trend. The AI is there, but the human being must be there at this point.
We said something about that MarTech and technology is going to take away jobs. So somebody says, every time you create a new thing, you create new jobs.
Right.
So the first thing you've said is, you can't say AI is taking my job. Then learn AI, so you're part of the job market. But the bigger thing I understand right now is, and I see it because even at within the group, everybody's having to take the generative AI training. It's mandatory. It's stuck in. You have to understand how to use it, and there's a program set and everything else, and just for you to play with it, so you understand it, so you continue to be relevant. And then the other thing that comes in is the new jobs that we talk about. And I love this new job called prompt engineer. In fact, it's such a lovely job. I keep saying I'd love to be a prompt engineer. Engineering used to be a title which was up there.
Nice title.
It's a very nice title.
Very nice.
Yeah, you're a prompt engineer. Yeah.
And it's getting a lot of entrepreneurs.
Yes.
Training prompt engineering is
Yes.
a big business right
It's a
now.
big business. In
Yes.
fact, one of the things that I realize is a lot of people
Yes.
have the AI tools,
Yes.
right? But they don't know how to prompt them to ask it the right question,
Yes.
so that it produces the right answer.
Answers.
And we've always known, even before we went to all this stuff, ask the right question to
Yes.
get the right answer. If you're
Yes.
sitting in front of a customer
Yeah.
and you want to know about their brand, you must ask the right questions to be able to
get
get
the
the
right-
right answers, to be able to do the right campaign for them.
Yes.
So it's the same way. You gotta learn. Everybody has to learn how to use those tools.
Yeah.
And ask it the right questions. If it could be a series of questions,
Yes.
maybe most probably not one, or series of things that you need to input
keep
into
building.
it, and then you build it, and
Yes.
over time it learns and understands what you're doing, and it becomes much easier.
But then I want to ask, you're saying people are being trained. So how do you train somebody to ask the right questions? I'm fascinated by that. I don't know, do you want
Prompt engineering as part, because we build AI applications,
Yeah.
and we build our own AI applications, and we train machine. We do machine learning, and first thing we tell the client is, first is to understand how it works, because the moment you understand how it works, then you will understand first how to ask the questions. Because that one does not have a natural intelligence. It has an artificial intelligence.
Exactly.
So it's simple as that. First, when you understand artificial intelligence, it means that now you need to understand that first you have to create the persona to it. We
Yes.
just tell them that it's understanding the methodology.
Yes.
It's just like we used to train people how to Google.
Yeah.
I was a lecturer for some time, long
Yes.
time.
You used to lecture people
Yeah,
how
look-
to Google,
Yes, how to Google.
but you just type.
It is not that way. But the moment I go to Google, you realize somebody gets what they want,
Yes,
and
yes.
then somebody else has been Googling the whole day, not getting what they want. So we used to train them how the algorithm works,
Yes.
for them to understand how to Google and get the right information. So it's the same thing here. So we're telling you, no. When you are prompt engineering, means just tell the AI who you are, create a persona. That's the first thing you do, and that's something people never do.
I didn't realize that.
Yes,
So you
so
create
you
a
create a
persona.
persona.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah,
Yes,
so
I'm learning
yes.
something now.
Yes, we
Yeah.
tell them now. If
Yeah.
you are a communication, you are creating a strategy.
Yes.
Tell it, I'm a business development manager.
Yes.
And I want to create a strategy.
Yes.
Can you help me?
Yeah.
It will say, yes, go on. First, you have given it the persona
Yes.
to be you.
Yes.
that is the process of humanizing an artificial intelligence.
Okay.
So
okay.
we start training them how
to
get
do it from that perspective.
Yes, so that you don't get the same answer, funny
Yes,
hallucinations and
not-
those kind of things.
Yes, which is not relevant to what you're.
Or you can also do you can say AI act as CEO of
Yes.
XYZ
Yes.
Company, yes.
and help me resolve this issue.
Yes.
Yes.
You have been given this business problem.
Yes.
Can you come up with the strategy?
Yeah.
And do not write the complete strategy. Give it in bullet points.
bullet points.
So it will give you in bullet points, and then you ask it to expand on those points.
Yes.
So you're not asking everything in one go.
Yes.
So you're letting AI to think about it also,
And then build on
then
it.
build
Build on
on
it.
it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
so there's something you asked, maybe I need to mention about some of the technologies that we, like he explained, you have built.
Yeah.
And one of the pain point I always see is that a lot of companies, when they introduce technologies, the first thing that you think about is operational efficiency. Of course, it comes first because the company wants to reduce their costs. So it's normal to do that. But there is an aspect that all of them forget. They forget the reduction of cost to the client in terms of acquisition. Because that is a concept that is a very important part.
Yes.
Assuming today we have a client as an agency,
Yeah.
and the pain point of this client says, I'm using a lot of money in advertising.
Yeah.
My marketing budget is always ballooning.
Yes.
I want to reduce it.
Yes.
So that tells you what? Technology needs to come in.
To drive
So,
the efficiency.
Drive the efficiency.
Yeah.
Yeah, from the acquisition bit,
Yes.
from the strategy bit,
Yeah.
from everything.
Yeah.
So we need to also focus MarTech from those other perspectives, because
Yeah.
then it creates the whole funnel.
Yeah.
That if today I come to your company, I'll tell you, yes, I'll create operational efficiency using AI. That's what CRMs do. That's what
Yes.
ERPs do.
Yes.
Create efficiency there, reduce my costs, and reduce all those time costs.
Yeah.
But I'll also tell you, okay, you have been using 10 million shillings in acquisition,
Yes.
doing, for example, BTL or ATL
Activities. Yeah.
or activities.
Yeah.
How do I introduce technology there to either increase the ROI?
Right.
Are you saying it?
Yes.
You might spend the same amount,
Yes.
yes, but you are increasing ROI,
Yeah.
or the impact will be a bit more bigger.
Bigger.
Are you saying
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
Then that becomes, those are the aspects that MarTech right now
Yeah.
needs to solve. Give an example. We introduced AI in client acquisition and creating campaigns,
Yeah.
not from the operational perspective
Yes.
of content creation,
Yeah,
from
but
the
from-
perspective of interfacing with the consumer. Are you
In
saying
what?
it?
Like what? Just.
For example, give me an
uh,
example.
speak
Today,
about that, yeah.
today I want to do a promotion.
Yes.
And the promotion I want to do is a promotion I want the people to interact with my brand directly, the consumers, to
Yes.
interact with my brand.
Yeah.
And the level of interaction, I want to make it fun. So I want them, when they're purchasing my product, they take a selfie about it, or they're drinking some with their buddies.
Yeah.
When they're drinking, take a selfie about it and share it.
Yes.
But in that perspective, what you have done is that you introduce AI at that point. At that point, then you start getting, the AI will start analyzing the environment you are taking the photos at, the friends you are taking the photos, your facials,
Expressions
it
and
will
everything.
analyze your age at that point.
Yes.
So it will collect some specific data or data sets that will, as you do 2, 3, 4 campaigns, it will be able to have collected, developed its own persona of this person.
Of this person, yeah.
Are you saying it? So you have collected data outside.
Yes.
Because right now, most of the data that we collect is so transactional.
Yes.
And it predictive-wise does not give a scientific accuracy about it. Because you come and say, somebody purchased this, so this person is like to purchase. This is so transactional data.
Yes, yes.
Because it takes beyond the transactions to define a persona.
Yeah.
That's why social media is able to get it more accurate. Because
Yeah.
they see what you comment, what type
you
of friends.
do,
You know, they look at things outside.
How they're looking outside.
Yes, and sometimes your inbox, the things you chat on your inbox. Yes.
Yeah, which is amazing because I guess also, you know, the nuances.
Yes.
Your face expression speaks a lot.
A lot of things.
Because I mean, if you're trying to influence somebody, as they say, you know, we had a conversation earlier with across all the different social platforms.
Yes.
What do people engage with? So when you say some of these things and nuances make a big difference for me to convert somebody,
Yes.
I have to look real. I have to look this. I can't look
Right.
too curated
Yes.
and whatever else. But I want to switch this up a little bit when we talk marketing tech products, because there's another conversation that keeps coming up, especially when we talk about engagement, getting people to just interact a lot more with the brand. And there's this concept called gamification. So I want you guys to unpack gamification and how gamification is used in marketing, because when a layperson hears gamification, to them is having a PlayStation and sitting by yourself, or what kids play, you know, dark something on the web by themselves, which is, you know, an interaction of you for fun. But
Yes, yes.
how is gamification being used in marketing now?
Okay, let me jump in. I mean,
Yeah.
just to start off a conversation. I'll speak about something I use a lot. Duolingo, for example.
Yes.
Duolingo, if you've used the app, you're learning a certain language. For example, I was learning Arabic.
Yes.
And
You're
it's-
learning Arabic?
Yes, learning Arabic, and it gives me the opportunity to, you know, when you answer correctly,
Yeah.
it has your success badges
Yes,
and
yes.
all these accolades that
Yes,
it gives you
yes.
as you move from one level to another.
Yes.
As you progress, you know, learning and, you know, getting things
You
correct.
get the affirmation.
And you get the affirmation, you
and
get the recognition,
and
you know,
everything else.
and you can also see yourself on a leaderboard.
Yes.
It's pretty nice.
Yes.
Another one I like is Nike, the Nike Run Club. Also,
Yes.
same thing.
Yes.
You know, you complete, you know, it starts learning you. So
Yes.
you complete a certain number of kilometers that every day, let's say you run 10 kilometers.
Yes, yes.
So it keeps giving you this accolades and it tells
Well
you,
done,
well
you've
done,
reached
you know,
here.
and it keeps reminding you.
Is that
and
the same thing on this? Is
Yes,
this gamification?
yes,
This
that's
thing
all
on
gamification.
the iWatch.
Yeah.
The pleasure when the things
Exactly. Yes, exactly.
you've met your goal. That is gamification.
Exactly.
gamification.
So it just gives you,
Yeah.
it makes you interact,
Yeah.
and it's also gives you actually a sense of virality
Yes.
that you can interact with, and
Yes.
you're as a consumer,
Yeah.
you want to interact with that brand more and more because it does all those nice things to
Those
you.
nice things.
Yes.
Yeah, that make you feel good. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll also give an example, but from the finance domain. So for example, a lot of bank has started doing it, asking about your goals. What is your goal,
Yeah.
right?
Your financial goal.
What financial goal?
Yes, yes.
And it's not like I want 1 million Ghanaian shilling.
No.
It's like I want to buy this car.
Yes.
So that's my goal.
Yeah.
Right. And then they tell you how to start saving for it, right? And some of the banks have also done it, like after reaching a certain milestone, they tell you now you are able to afford 4 tires of this car. You know.
Yeah.
That's a nice one.
That's a good one, actually.
So it feels like you're building the car from the ground
Yes,
up, right?
yes, yes.
So that's kind of
Actually,
gamification.
One of the things I think they have unpacked it very well
Yeah.
is that you see gamification, but it's we played snake game.
Yes, a snake game.
That's what everybody they played at that time.
Yeah.
And we play a lot of games in our phones.
Yes.
And what thing that you realize that the gamification it's basically a fun way of creating engagement.
Yes, yes.
And when you create engagement, then people don't look at you as if you are, for example, collecting data from them. Because they focus on the fun. Are you saying it? So the gamification is basically making marketing fun. It's marketing for people in a fun way.
In a fun
simple
way, yeah.
Yeah, for example, I tell some banks that during customer service week, they give us sweets. They
Yes.
have given us sweets
Forever. Yes. Yeah.
and tell them, no, why can't you introduce game?
Yes.
Introduce games where people can play games, and it can be trivias, it can be simple, nice games, either from sport, from whatever games that we come up with. And then, like now, what you have done, that's exactly what you have done. And then when these people are playing games, there's so many things you'll achieve. You can be able to create loyalty programs from the games.
Yes.
you can be able to create rewards and incentives during the customer service week for people doing that, and people even sharing it to their friends.
Yes, of course.
Creating
That
these things like
competitiveness,
creating that
the competitive
the
landscape,
leaderboard,
yes, famous leaderboards,
all those kind of things.
Yeah.
So in that way, you can even build surveys from gamification because people don't fill those forms. You're given a form and you're told answer there. But can you you can actually build your data collection from games.
Yes.
So it is basically trying to reduce people no longer don't go online to read serious things. People want to interact with your brand in a more fun way, and I think that is the basis of gamification.
And if you can make it learning that is fun.
Yes.
Just this week I was sitting and something popped up around these games that help with your mental agility. There's one I played, by the way, all the time, this New York Connections. New York Connections is one where every day there's a new one and you're supposed to find groups of words, and they're really wacky. You wouldn't even understand why they're how even those groups of words, but you have to do that. But something popped up, I guess maybe because of this same thing, understanding your profiles. So a lot of things that are coming up now, all these things to allow me to improve. Clearly my mental capacity has an issue because he said, do you want to improve your brain power every time? So all these games are coming up for me to look at and to play. And in each of them, there's the other aspect. It's not even from a brand or a company. Of course, what you have to deal with is the advertising.
That's true.
Yeah,
That's true.
all the advertising every time, and I have to wait for the 4 seconds. 4 seconds before I
play
can
Candy
skip.
Crush and I have
Candy
to play
Crush.
that. I love the advert because it's going to give you something.
It's gonna give me something. Play the ad, and then you get something on Candy Crush. Actually, yes.
And nowadays, you see these, in applications, they have started putting the games. For example, in LinkedIn, there are some games, Queen, Tango,
Yes.
Level Up, and all
Yes.
those things, right? They have started. It's called Level Up or something. But yeah, they have started putting it. They give you only one chance to play in a
Yes.
day, right?
Yeah.
So you play it, and that's it.
Yeah.
Then they rank you against your colleagues,
Yes.
against
Yes.
your company, against different companies, like that, right? But it gives you. I am playing that game. I always go there. It takes me like 5 minutes to complete all 4 games.
Yes.
But yeah, but I open LinkedIn every day because
Yes.
of that.
That game.
When I go, I have to click on those games. But before that, I had to check my newsfeed. And there is something interesting. I start scrolling.
Yes, yes.
That's how they are increasing the
The
engagement in
with the platform,
within
with-
the
yeah.
platform.
Yes.
They are giving more reasons for user to come and
into their-
interact with the
Yeah.
with the app.
Yeah. Okay. I think now I'm just going to round with a slightly more serious aspect to marketing tech. And we've talked about data mining, personification, getting all these things. With it comes a very tenuous territory, this territory called legal, intellectual properties, and things like that. I don't know if any of you have a view in terms of what is all this going to have? What's going to be the implication as we go into marketing tech in those spaces? Data protection, intellectual property, all these areas that start to become a little bit of a minefield. Yeah.
Let me take this from the back end side. You're talking about data here that is IP related. Brands don't want to share that specific data about you with each other because probably they feel I know something about her that you don't know, and or I collect some specific data. And for me, because I work for a data center, I say it's a very key component to also think about, even as you collect all this data, where are you storing it? How are you storing it? Of course, there's a level of cybersecurity in the middle, but also the storage is very important because all that data is, it's millions of dollars, I would say, especially when you collect it well and you can use it well, especially for a company that keeps, using that data continuously to be able to build and build brands. So I would say that side of the IP and everything, there's the back end, which people forget, which is where is this data and how is it going to sit and is it safe? So it's a very key component, even as you think about the IP side, the data protection side. There's where you're keeping it, how you're keeping it, is it safe? So that someone else just doesn't come in and try and grab it, because we've seen that happen a couple of times.
Okay.
Yeah.
Our AI, one of the conversations we're having right now in terms of using AI, generative AI, to create campaigns and everything else. One of the conversations is around what is IP implications, some of those things. I don't know. Any thoughts on that?
So I'll give you this answer from WPP perspective. So
Yeah.
what we are doing in WPP about this. So first of all, WPP has given us strict guidelines. They have, told us that you can use certain AI tools only. You cannot use everything because we do not know when they train their AI model, which data they used. For example, Midjourney is a big no-no. OpenAI, we can use it, but through Azure, which sits on our own company, portal, right? So we can use OpenAI through it. Same way Gemini, all these things. But yeah, from WPP perspective, we have certain tools. For example, what is it called? LoRa AI. So we can use those tools to make sure that we do not break any laws. We as a global company, as a multinational company, we have to make sure we follow the rules of WPP UK as well as Kenya.
Yeah.
Or if we have office in Zambia, so we
Yes.
follow those local
Yes,
rules
yes.
also. So yeah, for us, it's a big challenge.
It's a big challenge. It's a big
challenge.
challenge. Yeah.
It's a big
I don't know,
challenge.
Naftal.
Yes,
You?
I think the conversation of intellectual property and the data law is, there's a big gap there. And we have a very good comprehensive law in Kenya currently.
Yes, we do. We do.
In terms of data protection.
Yeah, we do.
And the conversation around it is the enforcement part of it.
Right.
And people using it if they are aware on how they're supposed to use it. For example, if today I give you an application, an AI application, to use it to your consumers, the AI can give you so much data that you will have. Then the conversation comes in at that point. Did the user consent?
Right.
That level of detail
Yes.
of that information. Are you seeing it? So these conversations about data protection now goes around institutional policies. I think that is now what is driving the conversation, that you need to institutionalize how the data protection is doing. Let me give an example. We developed Wakili AI. It's our innovation. And during the...
What does Wakili AI do?
Wakili AI was basically, we wanted to change how lawyers give consultations.
Yeah, consultations.
to
Yes,
people.
yes. Yeah.
So at that point, I was like, my mother wants to consult something. They have to pay some money
To a lawyer.
To a lawyer.
Yes.
And we wanted to democratize this kind of information.
Yes,
So
yes.
we trained it on the Kenyan laws,
Yes.
Okay.
Kenyan statutes, everything Kenyan.
Yes.
So that training meant that now you can go there and consult the
Yes.
bot
Yes.
on Kenyan
So you
law.
type the bot, I've done this. What is the law? How
Yes, I've been arrested
Yes.
by police. What do I do?
Yes.
What law have I broken?
Yes.
What is the next?
Yeah.
And after some time, we realized that during the Gen Z, it was the most used to understand finance bill. Yeah. So
Yeah.
we had almost over 200 to 300,000 consultations
Yes.
in a week.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
So this is huge data.
Yes.
People consulting. Now,
Yeah.
but now when you go deeper, then you realize that a lot of the consultations post that
Yeah.
were family. I want to divorce. I got my husband cheating. What do I do?
What do I do?
What is the divorce process? What do
Yes.
I need to do? Those,
Yes.
those are very private things.
Yes,
Basically,
yes.
you need to consult a lawyer in private.
Yes.
But you see, since the bot is with you, you don't.
You figure it's just
see
the
it's
two
private.
of us. It's private. It's between
private.
you and I. But yeah.
Yeah. So people consult.
Yes.
So then the question comes in, okay, then we are a tech company, we are not a law firm.
Yes.
So when this legal came to us and asking, you are providing legal services.
Do you have a license?
Do you have?
we are not-
You are trained.
We are not trained lawyers.
Yes.
And then we went through all those processes and got certified with data. But that legal part we were not able, because
Yeah.
we said, then sue Google, because still Google can give you something.
The same answers actually.
So what
It's
we
the same
have,
way doctors. We go
Yes.
to a doctor. Google told me, and
WebMD
then you're told WebMD. Yeah.
But now one thing that stood out,
Yeah.
we enhanced it to be able to act like a lawyer. And then we went to one of the prisons to help the prisoners who have been convicted, who can't afford to a lawyer to appeal
Yes.
or even do an appeal.
Uh-huh.
Because these guys end up rotting there simply because they can't afford. So we went to one of the prisons in Central.
Yes.
Our AI was supposed to do 5 things.
Yes.
1, predict if your case you're going to lose
Yes.
or get it.
Uh-huh.
Number 2 is to be able to write for you an appeal. Look at the conviction, the judgment.
Oh, really?
And look at the loopholes in the judgment and write you an appeal and write you your argument.
Wow.
You get it?
Yes.
So we went there and we got prisoners who have been convicted, and we put it. We asked. They came here, uploaded the scanned their
Yes.
their judgment.
The judgment, yeah.
And then it was able to tell them where the judge made a mistake in
Yeah.
the law
Yeah.
and wrote the judgment. Just tell it. Imagine I'm going to represent myself, write my argument. So
Yes.
it writes you the argument.
Wow. Uh-huh.
So and predict the chances of
success.
based on it understands all the case law since 1963.
Wow.
So it's able to know all the judgments which have been done in the
Yes.
High Court
Yes.
and Court of Appeal.
Yeah, so you have
And
all the
look at those.
precedents for reference.
Yes.
Yes.
So it's able to check those.
Yeah.
And one prisoner I was told recently has successfully appealed
Wow.
Nice.
Wow.
without representing himself.
Using
Using
that is
AI.
amazing, by the way.
Wow,
That is
that's
very
Yeah.
good. That's amazing.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
now, if you look at that, then the lawyers will argue, no, you are doing a legal
Legal
services, but
service.
we are not the ones doing it.
No,
has not passed the
it's
bar.
not.
Yeah,
Yeah, Wakili did not go through the bar.
Yes.
But
So-
again,
yeah.
the AI is not going to the court, it's the person
It's the
himself.
person himself, yes,
Himself.
yes.
So those are the arguments we
Yes,
give it. They
yeah.
say, no, but why are you writing contracts?
Yes.
Why are you writing affidavits? Why are you writing
No, we're not.
contracts?
Yeah.
We are not writing.
Yeah.
We
It is-
have trained it and it's learning
Yeah.
the writing and affidavit using the Kenyan
Law. Yes.
So what you guys need to do is now don't focus on getting these small monies from people.
Yes.
Focus on representing them in
People
court.
they are in
You
court.
see,
Yeah.
you should not be fighting.
Actually, you look at the efficiency.
Yes.
Because now the work you'd have done to do all that research is getting done for you.
That's exactly.
Immediately. So all you have to do now is a physical aspect.
That's what we tell
So
them.
it's the
that,
efficiency. Yes.
A typical law firm, 60% of the staff are paralegals.
Yes.
These guys are carrying files the whole day.
Yes.
They're in the libraries the whole
Whole
day.
day researching.
You remove that.
Yes.
These guys are trained lawyers and advocates.
Yes.
Let them go to court.
Oh, yeah.
Are you seeing it?
Yes.
So, but the concept there is the amount of data that kind of perspective collects.
Yes.
Now it depends on the company policy and the data protection to make sure that you secure it and of course align with the privacy thing.
Yes.
I think the biggest problem right now is more of the intellectual property
Yes.
part.
And the intellectual property is a big issue.
It's a big
Yeah,
issue.
it's a big issue.
That's why
yeah.
we are having a lot of issues.
Yeah.
Intellectual property in Kenya,
Yeah.
enforcement of it, experts in it are not as many, and awareness of
Yes,
it.
yes.
So I think that is where we need to create. Right now, what we are creating is AI agents to help us understand those kind of things, so that it becomes easier for people
Right.
to make some kind of
Yes,
decisions.
decision.
And I think it's good if we are going to conclude and say AI is moving towards the issue of agents.
Yes.
We are going to move.
That's a trend.
That's a trend.
That's a big trend.
That's a
Yeah,
big trend.
That's a big
and
trend.
those ones who know how to use agents,
Yeah.
like now what we have done right now is to create agents. We will use CRMs to calculate ROI. Now we are using agents to calculate ROI.
ROI, yeah.
We are using CRMs to do certain things. So right now we have done is to create agents and give them personas. Tell it, you as an agent, go to the web and scrape the web.
Yes.
You scrape wherever.
Yes.
The other agent comes in and says, okay, you have collected the data. Let me pick these specific things I need to pick. Another agent creates analysis. Another agent writes strategy. So you create a funnel of agents.
Yes. Yes.
And that is the efficiency of where AI is moving. So that people don't look at AI as where I go and research and
Exactly.
create generative
Exactly.
AI.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example of on agents and reports. I just remembered yesterday a digital media person from our office came and they said, Vimal, we have received a report of last 2 years from a client and it's around 1.5 GBs.
Yes.
I was like, wow. He said they need to analyze it and then present a strategy. I said, okay. he asked me, "Do you have any AI solution?" I said, "Yes, you also have that AI solution." You
On your phone, in fact.
No, not on your phone. We have an
Oh, you guys
application
have it,
yes.
in WP. We have an
right.
application called Creative Studio where you can create your AI studio,
yes.
AI agents, right? I showed them how to create their own agent, asked them to upload all the reports and everything. In just 1.5 GB took around 30 minutes to upload. And the report took 15 minutes to prepare. You
No,
know,
it's
45
incredible.
minutes, everything
Everything
done.
was ready.
And they would have spent at least a week
A
on
week,
that.
yeah.
On that thing.
Minimum.
And this is where I say, when we say Control Alt Convert,
Yes.
yeah, really seeing the benefits,
Yes.
not seeing the hindrances or seeing the problems it presents. This is the difference that it makes. Because now, imagine if we could train everybody around that. That's a job as well. You know, trying to train everybody to understand. You told me you were training prompt engineering. Those are new jobs. And if somebody learns and they become more useful, and you get better at it, you get more useful and everything else, and better outwards and everything else, and better output. So I think, gentlemen, this has been an incredible conversation. I am absolutely amazed that we've been able to speak to MarTech in such simple terms. I'm pretty sure we're going to pick up this conversation again because the pace with which this is going is astronomical. I honestly can't even imagine what's going to happen by the end of the year, you know, in terms of what's going to be available, the things that, the interplays that happen because of technology. I always share the story that 2 years ago, is it maybe even early last year, wanted to use generative AI of sorts to create some poster I was doing, and just asked it to show me a picture. And this, I'm telling you, it's maybe a little over a year ago. The image that came back, and I said black. You know, I said, show me black person. The image, you'd have thought it's somebody from Mars. One eye there, the other this here. You know, everything was
Six
smudged,
fingers.
6 fingers. You know, the features. You know, sort of. You know, a nose, an eye. You know, it just couldn't get this ethnic black person. Now, if I tell you now with generative AI, the advertising that you use, because you can imagine all the data every minute that's being put in there. It is incredible.
That's true.
So I looked at something that was done. I was walking into the creatives and they had something on the screen. And I was like, my goodness, where was that shot? It's a beautiful photographer. My goodness, the airbrushing is perfect. And they looked at me, they said, no, but this is AI. And I said, it is amazing. I mean, we could get scenes of a local bar in Kenya. I was really blown away. And the dress style and everything else. So yeah, it is exciting. I'm even more fascinated by gamification, the opportunities you've spoken to. Really fascinated by the way this is going to allow us to integrate things and get a ton more efficient. So I think I'm going to ask each one of you, Control Alt Converse. This era of MarTech products and the magic it's going to create. What is your parting words that you tell anybody listening to this how to embrace this new world?
I think for mine it's very simple. Just upskill. Don't be left behind. Just upskill. It's a tool like any other. Learn how to use it, and you're into the next stage of the industrial revolution. Or the what we call the technological revolution. If you don't, then you're going to be left behind.
Yeah, so for this MarTech, I feel AI is going to take it 100 steps further, right? And earlier the limitations was with, of course, the skill set about the technology and everything. But now I not see any limitation. I mean, on the tech side, I not see any limitation at all, right? For example, if there is a programmer with 5 years experience, he can write as good code as a 15-year experienced developer can write. So yeah, this AI is going to change this world, democratize it,
and level the playing
yes.
field. Yeah, Naftal.
Yeah, I think I'm very enthusiastic about tech, and for the last 18 years, is basically I've seen the evolution. I've created tech for 18 years now, and I can tell you that we are at a stage at which we have achieved what we could have achieved 100 years coming.
Yes.
Right now, we are able to have achieved it. And we are basically talking about general AI. But we are getting into more specialized AI. The level of intelligence is increasing. But what I want to say for brands specifically, and for everybody in marketing specifically, is that we need to look at tech, the whole funnel. We need to find ways that currently there are technologies to ensure that your acquisition process is a cost reduction. Turnaround time of running campaign is going to be reduced by almost 80%, executing it. Visibility in the whole campaign is going to be easier to visualize and all that. Engagement is going to be improved by technology. It's no longer going to be one-way communication and have to be fun. That's why gamification is coming in. It basically means your interaction on TV is going to be an interactive TVs. People have to interact with your adverts. People have to interact with your billboards. You need to be tracking who is seeing your billboard. So those are technologies that are going to help. So meaning in terms of ATL, tech is going to take center stage. In BTL, the same way. Brands never used to know how to directly know who their consumer is. Tech is going to help, or is helping them understand their consumer, interact directly with the consumer. And I think it is the perfect approach, which is going to streamline the route to market. It's tech that can only be able to do that. And it's the only way that marketers are going to actually do the actual return on investment to brands.
Yeah. Thank you. So, amazing conversation. Really, this, they said it is the future. Actually, it's not the future. It is today. So I've really enjoyed the conversation. I've enjoyed unpacking a space that many might think is a big black box. And it's no longer a big black box. Actually, it's an open box for all of us to understand, to demystify, and really take advantage of the opportunities. And really, at the end of the day, what the benefits it's going to bring us. So thank you so much for listening. And thank you so much for sharing all your insights and allowing us to demystify and look at where the future and where we can take advantage today of MarTech products. Thank you.